Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 10 advanced tips and tricks for Factorio Space Age. We're going to be covering a lot of different topics in this one. Tips for different planets, space platforms and everything in between. I hope that this will help you out. It's basically what I went through while doing my tutorials and doing this save file, which is 100 hours old, and I hope that it'll make your journey more fun. So let's get started with number one. Plan in a proper spaceport. What you see here is not a proper spaceport. This is just your backwater alley spaceport. It does the trick. As you see here in this quadrant, we have pretty much all we need for space logistics. We produce everything that we'd want on a space platform, but it's all very small amounts, and I wish I would have done it larger, because there's really a lot of demand on sending parts to space. As soon as my projects went bigger, this little thingy here really wasn't up to the task anymore. And in short, try to plan in that you will be building a lot of space platforms while beating this thing, and it is just so helpful to have a proper backbone of low density structures, blue circuits, and well, everything else you want to mass produce and send to space, basically. But the low density structures, the rocket fuel, and the blue circuits are really the most important ones. Alright, so number two, you'll be building a couple of platforms that will be, or spaceships if you want to call them so, but these will be mostly doing exactly one thing, sending science bottles from one planet to the other. So therefore, plan in your logistics to be 90% about sending in science back and forth, and the rest seriously can be almost done manually. Don't worry too much about other things that you need to send back and forth. Planets have specialty products that only can be produced there, so that would be something which you could technically be thinking about sending in it automatically, but in all honesty, science is the major import-export ware between the stars, and this is how you should plan it, and therefore your cargo landing pad should be working in tandem with your science park, and from that point on, well, decide for yourself. I mean, it's a sandbox game, and you get to choose how things get to work after all. So, number three, let's talk a word about interplanetary logistics. I've been already opening that can of worms. So, basically, we will be needing one space platform for the steady transport of goods between each planet. Vulcanus, Gleba, and Fulgora, and even Aquilo all have signs that they want to transport at the end of the day to Novice. So this is your big deal. This is the thing that you need to prepare yourself for if you want to have everything automated. I mean, currently, while I'm playing this, we're still in the age of space semi-automation on my save file, where all the science gets transported by good old Icon, but, you know, after everything, you might want to end that for your thing. Here's the thing. A small package, a small ship is really all it takes. Just take into account that your ships need to be able to defend themselves, enough ammo production must be present, and they need to be able to produce enough fuel for the trips back and forth. Everything else is basically a luxury, of course, power, but this goes without saying. Your logistical ships should be, in my opinion, or can be, extremely slimmed down, and the major takeaway from my design experiments was the slimmer the ship, the easier it is to defend, because you know, when you're traveling, the asteroids are only coming from the top of the screen. So the slimmer the ship, the less area you have to defend, and the less ammo per second you need to produce, basically. But apart from that, it's really up to you how you want to do that. So here's my new flagship in the making, but I'll leave it up to you how you want to do that. Which brings me to number four, quality in space. So while I wasn't too much of a big fan in using quality on planetary production lines, because I found it, you know, on planets we have virtually endless space available. Why would I bother with quality machines and the like? But I found that in space, where room or building space is much more limited, quality items are really, really a treat. The thing is, they make everything more efficient, So I found quality machines for space were one of my favorite usages right after quality on my power armor gear. This is also pretty supreme. Next best thing that I would recommend. But yeah, even if you aren't too much of a big fan of the quality systems in Factorio Space Age, I found on space platforms it's seriously making things so much easier. All right, number 5. 1 point about Gleba. So Gleba is the one planet pretty much everybody I was talking to hated, but the major thing is Gleba is all about cycles. So you put fruit in, but you also put seed back out. You always have an input and something needs to be extracted. It's about waste disposal. Each machine and each build needs to have a waste disposal exit. As you see here pretty decently, these machines have all a inserter that extracts the waste and puts it back to a burner tower. And the last point, filtering your inserters. This is the other thing. These three things: cycle economy, waste disposal, and inserter filtering. This is already 90% of the things. Sometimes it is very helpful when you are working also with conditional wires that tell inserters to when to work and when not to work. We can also attach these to machines, especially when with the bacteria. That's one thing that I found to be quite reliable. But overall, if a cycle on Gleba runs, it will keep running until something backs up and then can be always restarted. Don't panic when your Gleba factory stops. You just need to empty a trash bin and restart the thing. So I hope that helps you out to tackle the puzzle there a little bit less with a little bit less stress. Number 6, something about Vulcanus. So, while I found Vulcanus to be the most straightforward of all planets, which I also found to be almost a little bit boring due to that, there's one little caveat that I found really interesting. There's one steam recipe which utilizes calcite and sulfuric acid, and it results in steam that it has a temperature of 500 degrees Celsius. This is the temperature that you need to run the steam turbines that the nuclear power usually uses, which means on Vulcanus you basically have something like free nuclear power on top of the endless magma deposits, which also provide endless resources. So it's easy to overlook that you can use the 500-degree steam also on the smaller ones, but that is not using its full potential. Power on Vulcanus, therefore, is a really easy thing to solve. And moving on to number 7, when it comes down to Fulgora, one thing that I really noticed while I was spending time there, Fulgora is a wonderful place to do your quality crafting. This is out of the simple reason that the recycling of the trash results in such a plenitude of different materials, and since the recyclers can output quality materials, if we put in quality modules, that is, we have very many different opportunities to create quality ingredients which automatically result in quality items. So this means if we get quality trash or if we recycle with quality modules here, we get also quality items that we can again downcycle, and then it's so much easier to construct quality items out of quality ingredients. And on Fulgora you get them very easy early on. Later down the road, I gotta say, no place is a better space than space for quality farming. But when you're just starting out and you don't have advanced asteroid processing, I found Fulgora to be the best place to do my quality crafting in a nutshell. Number 8. After you have built a base on Fulgora, Gleba, and Vulcanus, you have pretty much almost everything that Space Age provides unlocked. Sure, there's still more on the tech tree, but the most important things that you would be looking for are there. And if you are one of the people that love to build mega bases or love to build really big style, that's the best point where when to go. Or in different words, everything before unlocking these 3 planets fully is your starter base. And after that, you can go big time. It's really something worth noting that until you have set a foothold onto these 3 planets, you're basically still in the pioneer phase. Aquilo and the Solar System Edge are more of the more the late game challenge to beat the actual DLC, but the build up phase, in my experience, is pretty much done once you have these 3 planets. Then it's all challenge mode, so to speak. So number 9. One thing that I really enjoyed doing and can only recommend, starting those planets pretty much naked taught me a lot about the processes on the planet. Basically, you can drop yourself without any gear onto Vulcanus, Gleba, or Fulgora, and you can start from the scratch and do the rocket back home. If you are feeling uneasy about that, feel free to just bring as many resources on your embarkation there. After all, this thing is your stash and can be easily expanded. But my point here was that going from nothing to the spaceport, after that I knew all the recipes, and after that I went through all the dits and dats that were possible with the planetary extra materials. I found that to be quite educational, and that made everything else easier. If that's not your cup of tea, of course, you can also make a part of that solution. My point here is just all planets except for Aquilo, offer everything that you need to get back to space, and that is something that you can also take as an experience if you want to. I did enjoy it a lot. Number 10, last but not least, space provides endless resources. There is the point where you have unlocked advanced asteroid processing, and after that, let's go here into the tech tree. After that, you have basically the freedom to do what you want to do in space. With advanced asteroid processing, we gain access to pretty much everything except for oil, and you can do insane space factories from that point on out, and it's very, very fun because you can do a very self-sufficient setup that doesn't rely on mining patches or anything. It just relies on what flies around in space. This is something that I want to point out as an option to do something entirely different than on the planets, and it will also be very helpful if you intend to go for the extra challenge, to go for the shattered planet. This is exactly what you will need for that, because at that point you need to be totally self-sufficient and get it out there in space and blast a bajillion of asteroids. So that's one thing that you can also use to, well, set yourself a goal or so. Okay, obviously tons more to say about this DLC, but this was the summary of things that went through my head when I got myself reacquainted with my old save file, and many of these are things that I also felt like I should have done differently, especially the spaceport part. This is severely underscaled, but what I haven't done yet, I can still do today. So, thanks for watching this. Leave me your tips for Space Age in the comment section so other people can learn from you as well, me included, obviously, and I'm very grateful for that. Leave a like, leave a subscribe if you'd be so kind to donate a dime or two to my channel via Ko-fi or any other given means. I'd be very, very grateful. There's the links down in the description box. Big thanks to all of you who have helped out so far. Really deeply appreciate all you have done, and of course I want to say thanks for watching this video thoroughly until the very end. Much appreciate your time, and I hope you'll be there for another one. See you there.